Well, welcome everyone to another eye-opening and amazing, incredible live broadcast of Jacob's Ladder. I am your host, Jacob Israel, and I'm so happy that you're all here. It's been a week. It's been a week, hasn't it? Oh my goodness, I bet a lot of you are probably on your way home. You're driving in the car and you're like, oh, Jacob's on. That's right, baby. We got to turn that sucker up because we're going to talk about all the things that have happened just within the last 24, 48 hours? I don't know, but I see a lot of you are already here in the live chat. Thank you for already hitting the like. When you hit that like button, it tells the world they should watch this show. And what a show. What a show. Look at this thumbnail. My goodness, that thumbnail alone should get you thinking, I'm just in time. And my goodness, are you? What a great, incredibly momentous time we are in right now. It's actually something that has captured the hearts and the imaginations and the absolute despair and sadness of everyone. It's one terrible thing after another. Terrible things are happening so fast today. They're happening like this. We don't even know. We're not even prepared. And all of a sudden, a little bit of a storm turns into a Category 5. Taking out the one place that I, as a child, thought, well, that's paradise. That's paradise. Same thing I thought about Maui. That's paradise. Seems like paradise today is not standing the test of time. Seems like the elements are against these incredible places of leisure. The places that were once, like Acapulco was once the playground of the elite. Did you know that? Maui's the playground of the elite. Do you remember Oprah? Do you remember Dwayne The Rock? I used to be his writer. How weird is that? So strange. They got their precious lands being just ravaged. I actually feel really bad about all this. Rhonda Peterson, thank you very much for the super chat. Every week she reminds me that I'm her favorite meatball, and I appreciate it. Global Witness has been sharing a lot because he's in Mexico, and this is like a big deal, and people that he cares about, they've lost their homes and everything else. And well, this storm Otis, it means lover of leisure. Means like somebody who likes to just, I love leisure. I just I don't want to work. That's what Otis means. When I hear the name Otis, I think of Dock of the Bay, Sitting in the morning sun. You know that song? I think of Otis. Leisure, peace. But today we don't see that. We don't see that at all. We got a lot of things happening. We got stuff that just happened at the Speaker of the House. We have a new speaker. We're going to talk about that. And we have another terrible, terrible event that happens. We're going to talk about that. Derek Wilson, thank you very much, and God bless you. Wow, what a great super chat. Listen, a lot of you here already hitting the like button. I appreciate that. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those heavy shows where a lot of people watch. I wanted to start off with just some things that are just happening, because the news right now is hammering one thing and one thing in particular, and it's got a lot of people thinking about mind control, got a lot of people worried about, people are going to snap and do all sorts of kooky things. Going to get into that. Going to keep you a little calm about the whole situation because I believe that really we have to, once again, understand that a lot of the stuff that we're seeing and hearing and everything else, it's meant to trigger us. So why don't we pull back a little bit And why don't we piece all of these things together and we look at it all through a spiritual guise? Like we're going to look at it through the means of metaphor. Right? I think that that's needed today. So when I hear that the playground for the elite has been, just totaled within a terrible storm that came out of nowhere, by the way, at 11 o'clock, like it formed in like 24 hours. Every single model failed. But at 11 p.m., became a Cat 5. So terrible. When I looked up the name of Otis, I thought, oh my goodness, lover of leisure. And I thought of 2 Timothy, which is it's a passage about, basically the way the world becomes in the end. Let me just read this to you because this is something that's interesting. In the last days, perilous times will come. Men, and that means mankind, just doesn't just mean just like men, like men, just men. No, it's like everyone. They will be lovers of themselves, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers. They won't have self-control and won't be able to keep their mouths shut. They'll just act out of emotion and rage. They'll be triggered, brutal, despisers of what is good. They're going to be traitors, headstrong, haughty, and Otis, lover of pleasures rather than lovers of God. And even the people that supposedly are the godly ones, they'll have the form of godliness, but they'll deny the power of it. This is the day that we're in. It's a spooky day. You look at these storms and it is just, it's awful. It's awful. But it's strange, the timing of it. Hasn't been that long ago since another place called Paradise was absolutely ruined. So many people right now are suffering, and so many people are scared, and so many people are just downright fed up with the way things are. But this show today is going to give you some hope. It's going to remind you that even though everything that you're seeing in the natural is telling you, you should run for the hills, I'm telling you that even in the midst of all this spooky stuff, God seems to be speaking in a beautiful way. And once again, maybe I'm just an optimist. Maybe I'm just seeing things the way I want to see them. But I do know that the things that you're looking at today, well, that Mother Fudgerson's not real. The things that you're being told, it's not real. Halloween's around the corner. I don't know if you celebrate. I'm not going to condemn you if you do or if you don't. In the grand scheme of things, what does it matter? It's a great time to, have people come around and visit you and encourage them. But this is the costume of the year. The woman that was on the plane that had the incredible freakout. We talked about the symbolism of it and how it just seems so sus to begin with. Well, she released a video just today. And there's like a contest, and she's like, it looks like she's a spokesperson. Cajun Sunshine, thank you for the super chat. For the airlines, all of a sudden, the person that you probably wouldn't want riding your airlines now becomes a person that's running your contests. It's very strange. So Tiffany Gomez says, give us your best rendition of the infamous plane fit, where the whole world was like, what is she looking at? Where the whole world was trying to tell you that they're going to be shape-shifting aliens taking over. You remember that PSYOP? If that's what it was, I don't know. Maybe these things happen organically. I couldn't tell you. But I can tell you that in her video, she made a point of making that 666. Very strange. I believe, Robin St. John, thank you for the super chat. I believe that the things that we're being told today, I believe the mother fudgersons that are telling us these things, I don't know if they're to be trusted. And I don't mean like when you hear of a terrible event, oh, nobody got hurt. No, I don't mean that. I mean like, should you be scared that it's going to happen to you? Should you be worried now every time that you go to, say, a place where there is some kind of an event? Birthday party or something, you know? The local alley? So you going to worry? People are worried about this. I did a space on X.com. You should follow me on X. It's Jacob Israel 71. And Derek's been asking me to come on all the time. I never really had a time to come on, but he wanted to talk about spiritual warfare. And I believe that that's an important thing today. Like, I think that how we think is going to define how we're going to be okay in the future. And I believe that the more people that wake up and start to speak truth and peace in the land, I think that we're going to see more truth and peace in the land. I believe that there is the power in our words. So on this space, someone came on and started talking about, well, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to be, sleepers. And right now they've released all the sleepers. And I said, do you really know this to be true? Or are you making up stories, putting out a bunch of stuff to get people freaked out? Because in the news right now, it's not that mother fudgerson, maybe not real, but I'm hearing things, voices. That's on everybody's tongue right now because of the terrible thing that just happened. I talk a little bit in a roundabout way. There's a reason for it. But I don't want you to be too let down and too disappointed, because I got to tell you something. There's always fashion. It may seem like the world is going backwards, but at least women that want to look a little sexier, now they can get a bra that has little nipples. They can get a bra so it looks like, it's cold all the time. They can get a bra, look a little, sexier. That's the new thing. Kim Kardashian is offering this. I thought to myself, well, what happens if it's cold? Then all of a sudden they're going to look like aliens with like 4 nipples. I don't know. I don't know how you handle that one. But that's her new, when we have this going on, at least we have this to balance it, right? It's not the world crazy today. My goodness gracious. A lot of people were really confused as to why Ivanka Trump was hanging with Kim Kardashian. Not to mention Jeff Bezos' girl. Look at them. All of them getting together. Like some, I don't know, like the really cool kids in high school that would never let me come to a party. Because they seem to be all kind of the power players today, right? You got Kardashian, you got Bezos, you got Trump. You got to tell me. I don't know. But I will tell you one thing. It's at least moving in a positive direction. We don't got to worry about leather. We don't got to worry about animal hides anymore. Less cruelty. Because Kylie Jenner, of course, the sister of the forward-thinking fashion icon who put nipples on somebody's bra, the new Skims bra, for shock factor. I don't know. Let me be honest for a second, all right? I don't want to put this down because, it actually is a pretty good idea. I'm sure it's probably, if this was like there are people that want to feel a little more, I don't know, cold, we'll say. But I don't got a butt, right? I don't got a butt. I just don't. I mean, it's gotten better because I do legs now and everything else, but it's like, it's like kind of one of those, like, it's like I'm all back and legs. You could iron on me, coming from the front, it's all right. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Thankfully, it's different now because I've done a regiment for the last 7 years where I've literally tried to build my butt. But my point is, I bought a pair of underwear with butt pads. I did. Just to show Danielle. I said, this is what I would look like. And I have them in my drawer. I've never worn them out. But I'm telling you, there is a bunch of people that feel like they're just not measuring up. There are guys even like me that pray all the time, that try to do the right thing, that just feel like their butts are just way too small. And so I can't put her down for putting the nips on the bra. You got to tell me if you think that this is a terrible thing. It is what it is. It is what it is. But it is strange. Kylie Jenner, she came out with her new vegan leather line. I mean, it's no clothing made of animals. So, like, the first thing that came to mind is the weird thing, right? The first thing that came to mind, you see Kylie Jenner, see TMZ, and they put out this, like sexy picture. Let me see if I can blow this up. This, like, sexy picture of Kylie. We're going to get into the other stuff. There's a method to all this, people. So you're going to have to hang on. There's a method to all this. All right, so take a look at this. So, like, she's in the words pet. Like, I'm your pet. They choose a picture of her that is, like, I mean, a little revealing. PETA, and then, of course, what's the next thing? PETA. If you think about it, PETA. And just the word alone makes me feel awkward. And then next to it, the logo, there's a rabbit. It's like pet a rabbit. I don't know. But these are the things that came to mind. I see leather and I say, I bet it's made of bugs. I bet that's the way they did it. Because the whole thing about bugs being like a great source of protein, which they may be. I don't know. I could tell you something. If I was hungry, I'd be eating some worms. I would do it. I used to eat worms when I was a kid. I didn't really want to eat them. They like kind of just, shoved them down my throat. But like, Jacob, you loser, eat these worms, eat those worms. You can't catch fish. No big deal. No scary moments in camp for me over the Halloween weekend. But the Halloween weekend is here now, and it's a full moon. This is where the show gets a little weird. It's a full moon. It's a harvest moon. So it's going to max out the spookiness for Halloween, which, by the way, a lot of people like, oh, it's like a witch holiday. I mean, you got to tell me, what it is. I don't know. I don't want to say like, I don't worship at the altar of the Halloween tradition, but it is what it is. A lot of people get hung up in this stuff, and I try to remind them. I said, Paul back in the day, he would go into they had literal temples to false gods, like Dagon, okay? For example, the fish god, which is why all the popes and all the priests, they have those hats that look like fish heads. The fish god, right, Dwayne? Thank you. Dwayne says, keep up the Greta work, like Greta Thunberg. I know what you mean. That's funny. Dagon. Paul would go in there and he could buy the meat and he would eat the meat that was literally sacrificed to a false god. So it would be the equivalent of like, oh, you go to a Satanist club and they have a barbecue and they sacrificed, I don't know, rats or whatever they eat. And they did it in the name of the devil god, and but if it's tasty, I'll come over. I'll have a gyro, right? That's basically what Paul was saying. That would be a little weird. Like, you would think that's probably not the best thing to do. So I don't like people that kind of condemn people that do other things that they were just raised in, traditions. So you've got to move on from the vain traditions. We got to move on, because I got to tell you, the spookiness is what the problem is. It's like the story of the legend of Sleepy Hollow, being scared of what you don't know. And that's become such a problem today. Such a problem today. And that's the reason why there's so much hate and so much anger today. This is not something that we need to really pay too much attention to. We should pay attention to the fact that priests are now being arrested and thrown in jail. Or so that's what Elon wants us to think. Elon wants us to, because he pointed this out, he reaches so many people. Tucker did this episode, and he's like, forget Biden's crimes. He said the Ukrainian government is throwing priests in jail. I think it's like illegal to be like an Orthodox Christian over there right now. I think. Don't quote me on that. But I think. But yeah, we knew that was coming. We knew that was going. That happens in the end. It does. Right before the very, very end, when that beast takes over, they talk about literally saints losing their heads. Off with the heads. I'm not saying that's happening. But I'm saying it could happen. It could happen. I feel like there's more to the story, Michelle Weaver. And like Michelle says, he's like, we got to pray that both sides come to an end. They bring it together. God is working. God is working. How do I know this? We got a new speaker, and the speaker of the House, remember I said we got to cross the Jordan. Remember I did a whole show about Jim Jordan. I said how cool it would be if Jordan was the speaker, and there's a reason why everybody's talking about Jim Jordan, and it's about how we're trapped in the Jordan, but we got to get past the Jordan. We got to go over the Jordan to get to the promised land. So we got to get past the Jim Jordan, if you will, to get to the promised land. So the question I had was, who's going to speak for this generation? This was the thing. I literally did a video, I don't know, almost, it says 2 weeks ago, maybe more than that by now, probably 2 weeks and a couple of days, where I called it the haunted house, and I said, who's going to speak for this generation? And we talked about all this. Then, of course, Trump came out, and Trump said the only person that could speak for this generation is Jesus. Jesus could be elected as the House Speaker. He says only Jesus Christ could be elected. Only Jesus Christ could be elected. Can I point something out? Because this is where the show gets really weird. This is cool. Take a look at how many views and how many weeks ago. It's 22. 2. This is going to be appropriate as we move forward. Because, I told you a long time ago, I told you back in September, soon you're going to see 22 everywhere. Remember? Remember, who remembers? You got to leave me a comment. Got to leave this crazy meatball a comment. Who remembers? 22. I said you're going to see it everywhere. Are you seeing it everywhere? I explained what it was. I explained the meaning of it. There's so many different meanings to it. But it ultimately really has to do with the end. It has to do with Christ. 22 is the Tav, the Tau. It's a mark. It looks like a T, like Trump. It also looks kind of like an A in a roundabout way. But we're living in a time where the leaders, like our new speaker, by the way, his name is Michael Johnson, son of John. Michael is by the way, in Scripture, Michael's the one that stands up for the generation, which is strange. Who's like God? The Archangel Michael. I'm not wearing it now, but I have a necklace that the Dan got me. We call it a Mandela effect because for years I told everybody it's Christopher, St. Christopher carrying the baby Jesus across. But then a couple of years ago I looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness, it's Michael slaying the dragon. Thank you, piercing the veil. Psalms 83, next time Christ comes back is the third and final appearance. I'm down with that. Let's get this thing over with, right? This is going to be the final. He says third. Let me show you the next screen. Because this is a coin for the third temple. Notice that's the Trumpster in the front who claims that only Jesus Christ can get votes for the House Speaker. And if you look at the coin, it reads, War of the Sons of Light against the Sons of Darkness. And that's the third temple coin. That's the new temple that's going to be built. Now, what's weird is that coin is not, recent. It's from like a little while ago. It was when they moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and they said, this is the capital of Israel. And it was a big deal. It was very historic. It was like, right after the 70th anniversary, fulfilled Bible prophecy and everything else. And Netanyahu recently said the very same thing that's on that coin, like within a day or two ago. He deleted this post. He put out a post, and it was, and he also gave a speech about the children of light fighting a spiritual war against the children of darkness. Donald Trump got the crown of Jerusalem recently. It's a spiritual war. This is what they're telling you. On a level, it's really not what you should be focusing on, but if you look at the story and then you try to extrapolate the deeper meaning, you'll understand that it's literally happening within you too. See, like everything that you put your faith in, the government, these celebrities and everything, all of these people, the veil that was keeping you blind to, the corruption of it all, is being ripped away. So you're starting to see past it. In the end, what God does is God comes and he corrects things. And as these things are happening, we have all of these massive events to distract us and keep us stressed out. But there is a prophecy that is in the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 12, that talks about how Michael is going to rise up. He's going to stand up, that great prince. Now, Michael, who is like God, is a picture of Christ as well. There are some that believe that this is a connection to end times completely. Like at the very end, Michael is a picture of Christ standing up. The two of them are going to do battle against the devil. And it's going to happen at a time that hasn't been like forever. The nation, the distress is going to be so great. But at that time, when everything's so messed up, the people will be delivered. Everyone that's found in the book. And what is the book? The book is the book of life. And what is life? Is to love. Everyone that loves and is kind. And many of those who are asleep in the dust of the earth will wake. People that are right now ignorant of the truth of who they are. Because let me tell you something. Wake up, everybody. You're more than just a meat puppet walking around. You, in fact, are a child of the creator of all, splintered off. And the truth of that died for you. The idea of you. And in the end, what happens? It rises again. It rises again. And that's the day that we're in. Everyone in the judgment is going to rise, meaning that in the end, everybody's here, some to everlasting life, some to shame or contempt. But everybody's going to be thrown into the fire to see what they are made of. And we are in the fire right now. So a little while ago, I started talking about 22. I said 22 everywhere, 22, 22, 22. You're going to see it. And I pointed out every time I get a chance. So it was no joke that when I did a show and I said, today is going to be like the 21st day that there's no speaker in the house. And this hasn't happened since like 6 years before the Civil War. This is important, I say, because on the 22nd day, I bet you there's going to be a speaker, because 22 has been so prevalent. 22 everywhere we look. So there is a post that I put out, and I said, today is the 22nd day without a Speaker of the House. Prediction: I believe we could have word of a new way forward. Speaker of the House, will we cross the Jim Jordan now? Can we move on from the Jordan? I said, this is the appropriate Bible verse, and the day that I posted this was that Bible verse, blowing the trumpet in Zion, sounding the alarm, for it is near at hand. Hashtag 22. President Biden. So what happens? We get the speaker on the 22nd day, just like I predicted, because I thought it would be so cool. Oh, and by the way, guess how many votes he won by? 220. 220 votes. I didn't vote for him. That seems like it's just a little too coincidental with everything else going on. Biden saying the last 22 days, Republicans elect Mike Johnson as Speaker, ending their 22-day impasse. You know what an impasse is? An impasse is when you can't cross the Jordan, where your way is shut down. Weird. 22. And as you see, I've shared on the channel video after video where you see 22 in there, and I talk about the 22. You see the top left-hand corner. And then you see my original post. It's just weird. I don't know why I felt like you were going to see it everywhere, but well, look at Mike Johnson, who is now the speaker. Look at his tweet on the 25th at 11:02, which would be 22:22. In God we trust. Now, this is something that I've been telling everybody on the channel was going to happen. So we're going to enter into a theocracy. Soon it will become like more, like, in my opinion, once again, I have no insight. I just kind of feel like what's going to happen is, because there's so much fighting between these different factions of, brainwashed people into religious ideas, instead of all of us understanding that we're all the same, we all come from the same, that what I do to you, you do to me. What I do to you, I do to myself as well, that we're all connected, that there is a karmic factor that's involved. They have to get rid of all of the factions. That's why the Abrahamic Accords went down. There's a 22 connection there too. It's very strange how all of these things are happening. So we're entering into a time where when he comes on, what does he do? He's talking about the Lord. He's talking about Jesus and Scripture and the Bible. That's a big departure from the Biden days, where Biden on the day of prayer didn't even mention God. First president in the history. And that's why we knew that judgment was coming to the states. Well, 22 is very, very symbolic. And if you look at it, you'll see that the early Hebrew, it looks just like a cross. And the modern Hebrew kind of looks a little bit like an N or kind of like an A. The last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, that's what it is. Elon Musk's third child is named Tau. There's a star named Tau, 22. Tau is it's another name for the Tav. The Tav is the 22nd letter, which is also only found in a couple of passages in the Scriptures. It has to do with a mark that God seals off his elect, which happens in the book of Revelation at the very end. So it's interesting that we see 22 everywhere. A little spooky too. Because can we really trust everything that we're seeing? Like, sometimes I wonder when I see people post, they post things. And I read it and I say, is there more to this than I'm just reading? Like, I found it really odd that on the 22nd, Elon tweeted out, "Wake up and choose violins." Now, this was so strange to me that I did a live stream about this. And I talked about this because I said it sounds a lot like violence. The right-hand corner, top right-hand corner, those are the doors and the website for the just-in-time alley where all of this terrible thing went down. The picture that you see of the guy, he's literally standing in front of those doors with what it says to choose. So it's strange that just a couple of days later, Wake Up and Choose Violins, 2 of them, at 11:38, 3 plus 8 is 11, 11, 11. Maybe I'm just looking a little too deep. But it's strange to me. It's strange to me that this guy who did these terrible things, which I don't even know if they've caught him yet, was committed because he heard voices and they released them. And how many people were they talking about with them? How many people went down? 22. I think the reports are changing, but that was what it was yesterday, all day. Now, if you look in the bottom lower right-hand corner, you will see Elon put out a little post that says sleeper agent, which is strange because he put that out before everybody started talking about this event that went down. But before I get deeper into that, let me talk to you a little more about the Tav, that symbol. And let me tell you more about how I believe that what God is doing, and by God I mean the one that's in charge of all this, that scripted this, that you'll see this playing out in almost every area of life, entertainment, sports, and all around the world. So I didn't think that it was strange, but I got the goosebumps when I found that the Texas Rangers are facing the Diamondbacks. Travis Seabeck, who is just such a blessing to me, encourages me, him and his wife, they're been long time fans of the channel, sent me this. And my goodness gracious, it just blew my mind. It's been 22 years since the Diamondbacks actually won the World Series. And it was right after the wake of what happened on 9/11. It's strange. Here they are 22 years later doing... it feels strange because here we are 22 years later. It's the 22nd anniversary of that. 22. Stranger still is that their logo is a Tav. Both of them could be, they sort of look like a Tav. The early Hebrew, the Rangers, and the modern Hebrew. Just strange. The whole thing to me just seems like it's something that is beyond just the realm of, oh, well, this is a coincidence. I feel like there's more going on. But once again, what do I know? I can't tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I know that these things are like somehow so spiritual and so important in nature. I don't know. It's just when I see them, I get encouraged. And I say, of course, it's the Tav. Because it's all about Christ. It's all about being free. A year ago, Elon bought Twitter. The bird is gone now. The bird is dead, in fact. Here we are a year later, and he reposted the word freedom. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? You know, the irony is that if you have the Tav facing, so basically be a picture of Christ facing a snake. The Diamondbacks, they headed to the World Series with the help of the Sun Devils. Now, once again, I know it's thin. It's not like, I know that I sound like a lunatic. I know I do. But my goodness gracious, if everything is not happening exactly as I said it was going to happen, from looking at these things, I don't know what it is. I don't know. So on the 22nd day, I say, we're going to have a new speaker. And who do we get? After I'm asking who's going to speak for the generation, and I say, oh Lord, who's going to speak? And I talk about how Christ should speak. Talk about Michael standing up for the generation. And who do we get for the speaker? We get Michael Johnson. Now, what's weird about Michael Johnson is Michael's not his first name. It's his middle name. His first name is James. And you remember what Jacob means? Same thing. It'd be like when I took Spanish class, Jacob was like Jaime or something. I don't know. I don't remember. Or Diego. Different way of pronouncing the same word. Michael, who is like God, which is interesting because there's a connection with the archangel Michael and Jacob in the biblical story, the narrative. And Johnson, which I think is interesting because I never met my biological father, but his name was John. Who's going to speak for this generation? The irony is, so I could look at that and I could say, oh, you look at those, that's me. And then I realize I don't have to have a gavel. You don't have to have a gavel. Who's going to speak for this generation? It's going to be the Christ in us, the love, the faith, the passion in us. So here we have somebody who takes the stand, and he's somebody that could most likely go out of his way to see if everything that Trump was saying was true. He could make a way for all of that to come out. A lot of people are having a problem with the fact that the first thing that he's doing, first thing he said he was going to do at least, was take care of what's going on in Israel. And he also said he's going to support, the stuff that's happening in the, hey, you, that bird over there, the crane. He's going to take care of that too. They're going to find a way to deal with that. So people are, they're up in arms about this. His main thing, of course, he wanted to, believe it or not, you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to lock Pelosi up. This guy. Isn't he exactly what every, gung-ho MAGA Republican wants? And I don't say that in a bad way, like to put anybody down, just because MAGA means, witch and wizard and warlock and in Latin. Because I'm not saying at all that, we're all being, we've all had some spell cast on us. So that we think that, terrible things are happening, and then we have a bunch of just terrible stuff thrown down our throat until we're ready to be like, hey, we're going to get rid of it. But really, the whole time God's working in it. Now, I'm going to do a show soon about Trump and about a biblical character named Jehu. A while ago, I asked, when is Jehu going to rise? Jehu wasn't the coolest dude. He wasn't the best guy. The system thought that he was on their side. There's a possibility that, all the corruption, all that stuff could be wiped out. There's a possibility that this could happen. I don't want to project only negativity. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm not willing to think that all hope is lost. I don't believe it. And I believe that when you have Michael, the son of John, in the speaker house talking about the scriptures and praying, whether he's like legit or not, has nothing to do with this. This has nothing to do with the fact if he's sincere or not sincere. Nothing at all. Listen to this guy.
Section 2 of the Constitution itself expressly states that the sole power of impeachment belongs here to this House. And then Article 2, Section 4 says, listen to the language carefully. It's expressly written in the Constitution. This is not political talking points. We're not making this up. It says in Article 2, Section 4 that the president shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. My friends, I just listed just a small sampling, just the tip of the iceberg of the credible allegations and the mounting evidence that shows that Joseph Biden has engaged in bribery schemes, pay-to-play schemes. This is what the evidence shows. We have to follow it. We took an oath to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution requires this action. The inquiry is the appropriate step. We have no choice to pursue the facts wherever they lead, and we will leave.
Is he not like the guy that they've been dreaming? He's like, and you want to know the weird thing? Jim Jordan is like his mentor. So Jim Jordan is like, you know, he was the one that came before, and it was like, this would be like second generation Jim Jordan. It's very interesting. Very interesting that all of this stuff is happening. Very interesting. You know, so the whole thing with the, let me play this for you. Get rid of this. All right, so this was from that video that I did just a couple of days ago. And this was before all this stuff happened. So just take a listen to this. Put out a bunch of posts about the violins. Wake up and choose violins. Wake up and choose violins. Tell me in a live chat if that sounds like anything familiar. Wake up and choose violence. Violence. Wordplay. Violins. Violence. Wordplay. See that that little meme? Warning, this image contains sax, like a saxophone, and violins, like violence. Very funny. Very funny that he actually, posted that picture about he has no idea how to play. It is weird. The violins. It is weird that he laughed at that. It is weird. It is weird that he laughed at that. Choose violins. I mean, that's some weird timing. That's some weird timing. But you know what else is weird? A lot of this. I talked to the donut about this, the instant this happened, because I knew he'd be all over it, and I wanted to call him, and I wanted to share all this stuff with him because I knew he would be able to better get it out quicker than me because I'm exhausted. But I pointed out to him that there is a mural, like once you enter into that place, the just in time. By the way, just in time means nick of time, means the day's been saved. This is all good news. Like in the midst of the storm, in the midst of tragedy, it's a very positive thing. The fact that it looked like blood splatter, the logo. It did. Like I put it together on my thumbnail. If you take a look at my thumbnail, like I had to cut it all out. Wow, G squared. You must be doing great or living in another country. Thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. Let me tell you something. I love all of you so much for helping. Just by hitting the like buttons, all you need to do. Sharing it around is all you need to do. But the people that do extra, Patreon and PayPal, and I really should be telling you more about trulyfreehome.com. I try to save this stuff for the end. The people that get involved there and get the novel and get the merch and description of the video. Couldn't do this without you. That's the truth. That is 100% the truth. I wouldn't be able to do this. So I'm grateful. But when I was putting together this thumbnail, which ironically there you see the God King Trump himself in the background, doesn't mean he's the God King. It just means that he's going to be the king that God chose. Does that mean a good thing or a bad thing? We're going to see. But when I was cutting out the title just in time, man, it looks like splattered, blood. That's what it looks like. Not cool, man. Not cool at all. Weirder still is that it had the, that post that it put out, You're Just in Time, had 11 likes. And it was posted 110 weeks ago. It's 11/11. That's 22. It's weird. Very strange. There's some symbolism into the fact that deaf people are being targeted. There's a lot of symbolism behind the fact that he's standing in front of something that says, choose your weapon. Because literally that's like on the doors. Like if I went to the website, it was that quick. I posted this out there. Let me see if I can even, another thing too, you want to hear weird? Is that it's called the home of the Blue Devils. I had to let me blow this up. Give me a second. Let me blow this up for a second so I can read this. I had to point this out because someone said, oh, he's hearing voices. It's demonic possession. And I said, well, yeah, a demon is a lie. I said, demons are just lies people hear. So in other words, if you hear something terrible in your head saying you should go do this or do that, if it doesn't line up with loving somebody, that's not a thought that's coming from you. It's not a thought that's true. It's a lie. We are programmed from television to things we watch on media, social media. We're programmed. Our brain is like a biological computer, and we've been programmed since we were children to be just mindless drones that make poor choices, that don't think outside of the box, that don't understand their God-given creative potential. God gave Adam, mankind, dominion. Jesus said, if you had faith as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, be thou. Why do you think I'm saying things like, there's not going to be a nuclear this? There's not, I'm actively trying. You got to have faith. You got to see it. I see a change of leadership. Do you? I see it. And even when I see this change of leadership, I'm going to tell myself it's not to be something that's going to hurt those that are good. I want to see it in a better light. Like Jehu. When Jehu came in, they were like, oh yeah, I'm with you. I'm with all you prophets of Baal. Then he got everybody together. He's like, I want everybody, all the leaders of this organization and that organization and everything else. We're going to meet together in this one big, great temple of Dagon. And they locked them in there and burnt the place down or something. He got rid of it all. And then he allowed people to serve God, to serve love. Not to serve the Blue Devils, which, by the way, I went to college. And so I find it interesting. That was our mascot, the Blue Devils. But that's the place, the Lewiston Devils, Blue Devils. Interesting. So I put this out. I said, demons are just lies. I said, this is why we must take control of our thoughts. We got to test the spirits. And what is a spirit? Jesus said, this is a great lesson for you. He says, my words are spirit. My words are spirit. If you're hearing my words, you're hearing spirit. Words come from an infinite place, and then we project them into a temporal place, and they become what we say they are. There's a passage, my word shall not return void. You may think you have no power, but I'm telling you, when you say things like, I knew we weren't going to make that bill. I know I'm not going to be able to get that job. And then when you don't get the job and you're like, I told you, I knew it. Who's to say you didn't create it? Who's to say if you didn't see it differently, if you didn't step back and you didn't say, Lord, give me that job so that I can be there and I can help people. And then envision yourself working there and understanding that God can do anything for you, especially if you want to serve the greater good. So I'm exercising my faith, and I hope you are too. You got to guard your thoughts. A good friend of mine calls it cerebral security, and how important it is today because it's so easy to be swayed one way or another. So I was on this space with Derek, which is great. You know, he's huge on X right now. He's just got it down to a science. And so generous, always asking me on. And this person came on and he said, all the cells have been activated. All the sleeper agents. And I thought of Elon's post, sleeper agent. But really what he was talking about was a new car that that was so sleek you could barely see it. Stealth gray. But like the timing of it, choose violence. I said violence, not violins. Isn't that funny? The timing of it is just odd. It's just odd. The whole thing is odd. The whole thing. You know what else? Let me show you this. Give me a sec. Let me pull this up. Do you know, like, they were showing the back of this building, and you tell me right now in the live chat, I'm there. Does it look like two numbers on that awning? Is it just me? Am I seeing things? Is there something there? Does it look to you like a 22? Because to me, I think it does. And it kind of freaks me out a little bit. Kind of freaks me out thinking about all this stuff. Because what does it all mean? What does it all mean? I didn't even show you. Hang on. I was looking for, there you go. You see it now? I was looking for a nice little music to play. Looks like a 22, doesn't it? It's a good thing I wasn't picking my nose. It's a good thing. I do the best I can with this stuff, people. So what does 22 mean? You know? Why are we seeing it everywhere? Why are we hearing about it? Why can I say, oh, it's going to be 22? You know, with the World Series, I'm not a baseball guy. But I'll tell you one thing. What if they win by like 2 games or they win 22 to something? What if there's a 22 somewhere? It's got to be. And who do you think's going to win? Is it going to be the snake or is it going to be the Tau? It's interesting. I may put a $5 bet on it. I'm not a bettor. I'm not a gambler, but I may. I may. So I was thinking, I said, well, what does it possibly mean? All of these things that, are happening where people are scared now. They're worried that people are just going to be activated, triggered. I'm telling you not to worry. Okay? Because Revelation 22 is the end. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding from the throne of God and the Lamb in the middle of the street. And on either side of the river, there was a tree of life, which bore 12 fruits. By the way, the fruits are the fruits of the Spirit, like peace, patience. Each tree yielding its own fruit every month. The leaves of the tree were healing of the nations. 22. There shall be no more curse. 22. But the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in the world, and God's servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be on their foreheads. And what does that mean? The nature of God will be in your thoughts. You're going to love. Wait till you see what happens in the coming year. Wait till you see the upheaval and the change, and even what happens with all of us here. It is going to be something to behold. So I don't want any of you to be stressed out or worried or anything else. I want you to speak life where people are speaking death. I want you to remind people that Revelation 22 says that my words are faithful and they are true. And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show his servants the things that will shortly come to pass, because I am coming quickly. And blessed is he who keeps the words of this. Johnson is a speaker now. This is an interesting time to be alive. And I hope that this show has encouraged you. I hope that it freaked you out a little bit because it freaked me out a little bit. And I hope that you can support the channel. There you go. That's my novel. It's a great novel. It really is. I wonder if there's 22 in here. You know, just for the heck of it, let's see. Because I know that it's like 320 pages. Let's see what the 220th page is. Just for the heck of it. I mean, what else do we got to do, right? I like to do weird things sometimes. 220. Where are you? Here's 222. Okay, let's see what this 222. Let's read this. Let's see. This is a good one. You ready? This is from my novel, The Calling. Funny thing about thinking your life is your own, Thomas says confidently. If you fail, it's entirely your fault. Thomas turned to Colin and searched his eyes. But knowing life is beyond our control, well, that's freedom indeed. Colin shrugged. What, no free will? Come on, Thomas. We make choices every day. Every choice is influenced by everything else. What makes you so sure you're the one that's in control? Thomas grabbed a small pebble from the ground and tossed it into the small fountain beside him. What choice do the ripples have in the water when the stone is thrown? What choice do we have but to trust that God's in control? That's freedom indeed. And Elon declared it, so why don't we declare it too? All right, listen, I love each and every one of you. Go to trulyfreehome.com. Let me show this to you. Hang on a second. Let me show this to you. Let me go up to trulyfreehome.com. This is the sponsor of my channel. This episode is brought to you by them. And you can go on here. There's a $5, you can try it out for $5. No toxins, no chemicals. Just go to the website, check it out. I just actually got my stuff, my deodorant, and my wife got her skincare. Their organics are just really great. First thing I did, true story, when I didn't show it to you. Hang on, let me show it to you. First thing I did when I got it today was I put together, because it's we don't want to use a lot of plastics and everything else. They send you the bottle originally, you hang on to the bottle, and then they send you the packets. First thing I did was I set it up. I set up the cleaner. And you can get all this stuff. Try it out for $5. And it helps the channel. You got no idea. I get like a lot. And if you were just coming around, checking them out for the first time, you'd spend more money. So thanks Stephen and his family and everything else, because they love the channel and they're offering that to all of you. And I hope you have the best day ever. I will talk to you soon. God bless you.